Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's begin with an update on Congo election. Reports reaching us says Congo's leading opposition presidential candidate, Guy Brice Kolelas, dies a day after polls open. Uche Ugochukwu has details.
The Congolese opposition candidate Guy Brice Kolela's campaign director, Christian Mayanda, said he died on Sunday afternoon in the medical aircraft transferring him to France for treatment after about 24 hours in hospital. The 61-year-old Kolelas tested positive for COVID-19 on Friday and could not host his last campaign meeting in Brazzaville. On Saturday, the challenger had posted a video after being taken ill where he removed his oxygen mask and told his supporters he was fighting death and urged them to vote in Sunday's poll as a way of fighting for the change they desire.
Je vous demande de vous lever. Allez-y voter pour le changement.
Mr. Kolelas, who was diabetic, was one of 6 candidates running against 77-year-old President Denis Nguesso, who has been in power since 1979. Reports say Nguesso is the 3rd longest-serving president in Africa, as he has been in power for 36 years and is seeking for another 5-year term. After casting his ballot, President Nguesso, however, said the government was aware of Guy Brice Kolela's illness and had taken necessary steps. Voting continued after access to the internet and social networks were cut in the Republic of Congo, just as during the 2016 presidential election, which Nguesso won with 60% of the vote, was also marked by a communication shutdown. Meanwhile, Sunday's vote was in disarray when it was revealed that the leading opposition candidate was in hospital after being diagnosed with COVID-19. The Central African country's constitution stipulates that an election can be delayed if a candidate dies or is unable to participate in the vote. The Republic of Congo is a one-party dominant state with the Congolese Labour Party in power. Opposition parties are allowed but are widely considered to have no real chance of gaining power. Elections are governed by Congo's election law, which was modified in 2016. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
And back home for us, as part of federal government's efforts towards preventing the spread of the coronavirus disease, the Federal Ministry of Water Resources has constructed solar-powered water and toilet facilities in Imo State. The Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, who inaugurated the project, says the facilities will go a long way in promoting constant hand washing, especially in rural communities. Let's hear more from Bright Abuja.
The National Water Sanitation and Hygiene Emergency Response on COVID-19 program is one of the federal government interventions under the Economic Sustainability Plan to address the COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Hope Uzodinma, while inaugurating the facility on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, affirms that the facility will reduce the effects of COVID-19 pandemic in communities as it will provide improved access to safe water as well as promote constant washing of hands. He assures that his administration will continue to partner the federal government by ensuring that its efforts yield the desired result.
President Muhammadu Buhari is concerned over the widespread of COVID-19 pandemic all over the world and the need for our people, not only at the urban center, but the rural communities, to be supported and assisted to be able to comply with the COVID-19 protocol. as recommended by Nigerian Center for Disease Control.
So far, 6 solar-powered water schemes and toilet facilities have been constructed by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources in Imo State. In Owerri, Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
And talking agric, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has commenced the execution of a land clearing program designed to open more lands for crop production. More than 1 million hectares are expected to be added to areas under cultivation nationwide. Musa Baba Aliyu visited a community in Niger State that is one of the beneficiaries of the federal government's project and filed in this report.
Tungangana is a community in Paikoro local government area of Niger State, 40 kilometers away from Mina, the state capital. The community is blessed with fertile land suitable for cultivation of cereals, tubers and vegetables. The community is endowed with this water body that has its source from River Kaduna. Over the years, the people use the water for only domestic purposes and sometimes fishing. But the federal government is telling them that they can utilize the water body for irrigation farming activities. 70-year-old Salihu Numa says the people of the community only engage in rainy season farming and fishing, but never believe that they can do dry season farming. The federal government has stepped in to teach the community how to utilize the water to grow more crops all year round. 140 hectares have been cleared for rice production.
The entire 417 hectares cannot support rice in totality. So about half of that land can actually support both lowland and upland rice.
Tractors, seeds and chemicals, including other farming tools, were provided by the federal government. These women are happy that they were carried along in the project, requesting for simple equipment that can handle. Traditionally, permission has to be sought from Sarkin Ruwa to avoid what the people describe as spiritual attacks from the lake. I met the Sarkin Ruwa Amadi Isa. He told me that permission has been granted and he is also participating in the federal government program. From Tungamalan in Paikoro local government area of Niger State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Well, in supporting the federal government's agricultural transformation agenda to ensure that Nigeria achieves food sufficiency, the Integrated Farm Settlement Project of the Cross River Basin Development Authority is to be revamped for economic growth. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, D.D. Wilson Jack, during a tour of the farm in Akpabuyo, local government area of Cross River State, says attention will be given to the project for the development of the rural community. Udwak Etim reports.
Building a sustainable agricultural mechanism through an integrated farming system by creating jobs and ensuring food availability in Nigeria is key to economic development. Hence, the visit of the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, to Ikanakanda Integrated Farm Settlement Project of the Cross River Basin Development Authority in partnership with Usierobong Farms. The Permanent Secretary's visit is to get first-hand information on activities of the Cross River Basin Development Authority and its plans for improved livelihood, especially in the rural community.
We want to assure the federal government that adequate protection will be given to the people, the investors.
The Federal Ministry of Water Resources is to partner key stakeholders while expecting to get input to see what can be done in the development of the project.
And we're looking forward to seeing how we could partner to ensure that the facilities we have seen are put to good use.
If you put a place like this and you take all those teeming youths out of the creeks to come and work, you know the state would come out better for it.
Before the inspection of the Integrated Farm Settlement Project, the Permanent Secretary was received at the headquarters of the Cross River Basin Development Authority, Calabar, where she interacted with the staff and encouraged them to be committed to their responsibilities. She was also conducted around different sections of the ministry to see the level of destruction done by the hoodlums during the 2020 end SARS protest. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
Though there is a mantra, water no get enemy, but when life is water, but when life and water is under threat and consumption of such water becomes life-threatening, certainly there is an enemy somewhere. Well, this scenario could be likened to the story of the Nome Unataeze people of Nkanu East local government area of Enugu State who woke up to the shock, fear and stark reality of the pollution of their major, if not only, source of water. Let's hear more from Mina Ukaobasi.
People of Nome Unataeze woke up one beautiful morning to the rude shock of their major source of water being polluted.
The level of pollution is much. In fact, the pollution is so poisonous because we witnessed a case of two cockerels that drank from the river and died in few minutes.
Well, as far as this river is of importance to the entire community, in area that we even use it as source of our drinking water, we even use it, you can see our farmers around the banks, which we use it to pour water on them.
The situation on ground has grossly affected prices of commodities within the community. Given that it is still dry season, the situation is made worse as most underground water storage tanks are all dry. Though it wasn't possible to quickly identify the exact substance, but whatever it is that could produce such stench and destroy aquatic life must be deadly. Given the urgency of the situation and the need to restore normalcy in the water situation in Nome, the community vigilante group, youths and elders, moved to trace the source of pollution of their main source of water. This is Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, and right here is where the community has traced the chemical that polluted their source of water. In Enugu, Mina Ukaobasi, NTA News.
Well, what an irony, because if you recall, today is World Water Day, a day and the day that is paradoxically narrative of lacking in the midst of plenty resonates as governments strive to increase access to save water for Nigerians. Musbahu Wahab reports as Nigeria joins the world to commemorate Water Day around the theme, Valuing Water.
Again, a special occasion has played up an open secret of shortage in access to water around the world. And in Nigeria, the case is of irony, with the large deposits of these natural resources harnessing it for domestic and industrial use has led to economic scarcity of a commodity, with 60 million of the entire population lacking access to safe water. But while some now take it for granted, for others, water is still literally gold needed to be mined. With the thirsty mouths on the increase in the country, climate change leading to water stress, experts say the distance to access to water is becoming farther than ever. All of these issues are part of this report by UNESCO submitted to the Water Resources Minister, Suleiman Adamu, who said various programs including WASH Action Plan, P-WASH and the Clean Up Nigeria campaign were all designed to support the sub-national governments towards ensuring water for all. But as it is, the ball seems to be largely in the court of the sub-national governments that the minister says has the primary responsibility to provide potable water for the people.
We are no longer just putting our money on equality of states or federal character or whatever. No, the state that is investing its money properly, is planning properly and has shown commitment to water, sanitation and hygiene. Those are the states that government will support. So there will no longer be free money from the federal government. I think the president made that very, very clear in 2018 and we are going by that.
Now, with the 2030 SDGs target fast approaching, development partners too say water must be given more priority.
The government needs to step up now, commit to reductions and recognize the critical role clean water has in helping communities cope with climate change and recovering quickly from related extreme weather events.
Valuing water, the theme for this year's World Water Day commemoration, took the issues beyond pricing concerns to include environmental, social and cultural value people place on water. In Abuja, Musbao, then Wahab, NTA News.
Thank you, Musbao, for that. Let's expand the discourse. We know that water is under serious threat from growing population. We see the growing demand in agriculture, industry, and the impacts, when we're talking climate change. We have a guest joined us via Zoom. That is Mr. Adebayo Alao. He is head of WASH, Water Aid Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Alao.
Thank you very much for having me, and good evening, Nigerians.
All right, let's just hit straight to the theme, valuing water. Would you say we have really, we have value for water in Nigeria? What is your perception?
Thank you very much. Going by the antecedents and practices of the way we handle water in Nigeria, I will personally say that we have not been valuing water enough in the country. And I'm saying that because I look at, valuing water from three perspectives. First of all, you look at, valuing water from the perspective of water governance. How are we governing water in Nigeria? Where are the structures that are supposed to manage the operations, of water supply in Nigeria? Where are the institutions that are responsible, for regulation of water sector in Nigeria? Do we have these, in place, and how effective are they? How effective are our planning? How are we planning, to make sure that the sector is very effective? So if we want to value water, we definitely have to be effective in our governance of water. That's one. Secondly, we can value water by the way we handle our environment. We just saw a video clips now from water contamination coming from the environment. If we do not protect the environment, we are not valuing water, because the environment will definitely contaminate our groundwater and our surface water sources. If a whole community is relying upon that stream to supply them water, and someone somewhere is not taking care of his waste, so that's one way, we are not valuing water. And
okay, Mr. Alao, let me hold your thoughts there. Let me hold your thoughts there. Of course, from what you're saying, we saw the report, and it's just bit my imagination, because they say water is life, but we see the gap in the provision of potable water, especially in the rural communities. How do we bridge that gap?
You heard also the minister saying that the state that shows commitment is what the federal government supports. We development partners have been saying this severally. Constitutionally, it is the state that has responsibility to provide water. And except states come up with, very efficient and effective plans, to develop the sector, there's no way these things will happen. So we just have to encourage our states to be very effective in their planning, to be very proactive, and to be, focused in funding the sector. The sector has a lot of challenges that states, we just have to take the bull by the horn. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Alao, I could hear your phone ring. If you can put that on silent while we continue our discussion. Now, Nigeria, it's not the only country, facing crisis of water globally. But how do we, provide solutions for Nigeria as the world struggle to meet up with the Sustainable Development Goals?
Well, for sure that we have, development partners that's supposed to, assist us in our quest to improve access to water in the country. But again, I say that, we as recipients, we have to come forward with our genuineness and intent of purpose to show to the development world that we are really and ready, to improve on our status. So if we do not have plans that can be supported by development partners, by funding agencies, there is no way these days, funding agencies can even come to our aid. So first of all, let's get our acts together as a country. Let's get our acts together as a sector to make sure that we have the adequate plans that we are supposed to have. Let states be committed to funding, through annual budgetary allocation, and then we can now seek help, from other agencies that have the ability to support us. If these plans are not there, it becomes very difficult for support agencies to come into.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Adebayo Alao. And you need to go drink some water now. I hope you've taken enough today.
Thank you very much. I've taken sufficient water for the day.
All right, thank you. We can't get enough of water indeed. I also need that water right now. So why don't we take that break while you ponder on value water? Welcome back. Immediate family members, lecturers and other stakeholders of the 39 abducted students of the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Africa, held peaceful protest, tasking Kaduna State government and security agencies to intensify efforts towards the safe return of the missing students. Achari Maxwell reports that the protesters occupied the roundabout leading to Kaduna International Airport with placards bearing inscriptions on expectations. It has been 12 days since the abduction incident by bandits who compromised the school fence and gained access.
Let them gather. So what do we want? All for one. All for one. What do we want? We shall always fight for rights. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight. All for one.
That both the military and the police are giving us cooperation. Yes. There is no molestation, no intimidation of any student. Yes. Therefore, we give 3 votes to the military and and we are going to give them 50 votes if they are able to rescue our students. Yes. Nigerian students. Yes. Nigerian students. Yes.
Concerned members there protesting the return of students being abducted. Let's look at other pressing issues. The fire which gutted some parts of the Katsina Central Market has finally been put off by the combined efforts of the state and federal fire service after 6 hours of its eruption. Mohammed Salisu Awal completes the report.
The fire, which started around 7 a.m., is suspected to have been caused by an electrical fault, though no life was lost. Property and cash worth millions of naira were said to have been destroyed by the inferno, which gutted no fewer than 200 shops. The intervention of the officials and men of the fire service, as well as good Samaritans, has assisted immensely in putting the fire off. Eyewitnesses who spoke to NTA News described the situation as a setback to commercial activities, not only at the market, but in Katsina metropolis. Some victims of the mayhem interviewed appealed to the state government to take stock of the damage and assist accordingly.
Most of our properties are being burnt, everything. Most of us didn't even come out with anything. I was in my house, they called me to come and pack my things that the central market is on fire.
The situation is worrisome. It began in the early hours of Monday due to electrical faults. It's really a big loss.
As of the time of filing in this report, there is no official statement as to the extent of the damage caused by the fire outbreak. In Katsina, Mohammed Salis Awal, NTA News.
And our correspondent Shehu Adamu joins me now via the telephone from Katsina. He's going to tell us an update. Shehu, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, now, have they heard anything talking about the victims now from the state government, to console the traders?
Well, thank you very much. The state governor, Amin Bello Basari, visited the state for assessment and sympathy to the victims. While addressing the mob crowd at the scene, the governor assured that necessary mechanism will be put in place at the market to avoid the occurrence of such mayhem. And earlier on, in addition to it, I spoke to this fire officer, Abuja, who could not ascertain the cause of the fire. And he was full of praises to the organization, particularly the Federal Fire Service, for assisting the State Fire Service with about 8 firefighting vehicles in ensuring that the fire was brought down under control.
Okay, from the reports there we saw by Mohammed, one of the witnesses says it was caused by electrical fault, but you're saying it's not been ascertained. How do we clarify that?
Yes, that was what the eyewitnesses were saying really. But the chief fire officer, Abubakar Garba, like I said the authorities are yet to ascertain the cause of the fire. But eyewitness attributed the fire to electrical fault within one of the shops in the market.
Okay, now we hear that it's about 200 shops were gutted by the fire, and the extent of the damage is yet to be ascertained. Any compensation, any news on compensation for the victims?
Well, you know, in a situation like this, it happened not quite long ago. In a situation like this, government authorities, let me put it that way, have to go far to drawing board. They form a committee that will look into the remote causes and other things, then make a recommendation to the government. That was why the governor himself was on ground at the scene to ensure that he assessed himself the extent of damage done by the fire. And much later, probably, to come up with a committee and recommendation expected from that committee to guide the government on the next line of action to be taken place.
All right. Thank you very much, Shehu Adamu. We'll definitely keep in touch with you if anything arises. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. And from Katsina State, let's head to Lagos. Michael is already waiting. He has some set of reports for us. Michael?
Thank you, Ruth. Rehabilitation works on the damaged airport's link bridge will commence in March, as the contractors handling the project have concluded investigations and are in the process of procurement of material for the repairs. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Babangida Hussaini, disclosed these while on an inspection of roads and building projects in Lagos. Dotun Ogunyemi reports.
The team of engineers from the ministry's headquarters, led by the Permanent Secretary, made their first stop on the Third Mainland Bridge, where they inspected the completed repairs on the bridge's superstructure, as well as ongoing repairs under the bridge. The Permanent Secretary assured of regular maintenance of roads and bridges, noting that the federal government was committed to infrastructure upgrade within Lagos.
We shall continue to monitor and to improve on the safety and the structural integrity of that facility, because oftentimes the problem we have is about maintaining our existing facilities and infrastructure. So that's exactly what we are doing now.
The Permanent Secretary also noted that the federal government, as a matter of policy, is looking to set up the Federal Asset Management Department to look at the maintenance of federal facilities like the old Secretariat, Ikoyi, and others to ensure they are kept in good shape. The team later inspected ongoing road projects on Outer Marina, as well as ongoing shoreline protection projects in the Victoria Island axis, while also commending the contractors handling the Apapa Oshodi and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, noting that the projects are on track for completion. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education are in Lagos to inspect projects under the Universal Basic Education Intervention Fund. Hingino John Adams reports.
This is their own little way of saying welcome to committee members on basic education. As part of the committee's duties, the members, accompanied by the Executive Chairman, Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, Wahab Alawiye King, inspected various projects funded by the Universal Basic Education Commission. They include rehabilitation and reconstruction of blocks of classrooms, boreholes, among others.
It is very clear that UBEC has been intervening in infrastructure in Lagos State. Some of them have a few problems which we have noted, and we will communicate with both my brother here, the chairman, Subeb Lagos, and to UBEC Abuja.
Some of those structures I have seen, the waste disposal, the landscaping is very, very key. And I want to think local government could be a stopgap in assisting some of these areas.
When they have the power to appropriate, they also have the power to investigate. So investigation in this sense is to come and see what we have been doing. Money that have been appropriated, how have we been using them?
The visit, which is expected to cover all districts across the state, will last for 3 days. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
That is it from here, and for more stories on education, it's now back to Ruth in Abuja.
Correct, Michael, thank you. A robust and forward-marching efforts have been engaged by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund to provide quality service delivery to its beneficiaries through quality assurance sectors of the institutions. Sequel to this, and for the first time, directors of quality assurance of Nigerian tertiary institutions are attending a workshop on building skills for effective service delivery. The forum seeks to engender synergy and drive collaboration between the agency and benefiting institutions.
We want to achieve results as State Fund in line with our mandate. However, this could be jeopardized if there are dysfunctional services in our benefiting institutions.
Is to educate the beneficiary institutions on the fund processes. It's going to work for us better than it's been doing in the years past.
Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports that Office of the National Coordinator of Savicom explains its role, which is to ensure customer satisfaction and manage the performance of expectation gap between government as well as members of the public on issues of service expectation and delivery. The non-teaching staff in schools are appealing to President Muhammadu Buhari to include them in the extension of retirement age of teachers to 65 years and 40 years in service, as well as special salary scale and enhanced allowances. Well, this appeal was made during a rally to draw government's attention to their prayers before the harmonized retirement age for teachers in Nigeria Bill 2021 is transmitted to the National Assembly.
So we are begging on Mr. President, we are calling and we are begging on him to look into that pronouncement and see to it that our members, the members of the non-academic staff, are included in that bill that will be forwarded to the National Assembly. That's why we're here to create awareness.
We believe that government will look into all these letters, and by the time the National Assembly is sitting, we want to also appeal to them to please look at the bill critically, that non-teaching staff should also be included.
The rally is taking place simultaneously across the country. All right, we're heading to Port Harcourt, and Gabriel is already waiting to give us her reports.
Welcome to Port Harcourt. Students in Cross River State with ambition to further higher education in the United States of America now have opportunity to access information that will enable them achieve this dream and better their educational pursuits. That will be possible through the Education USA Advising Center, which is now situated in Calabar. Justina Etim reports.
Securing admission to colleges and universities in the United States of America has for several years been the aspiration of many young Nigerians, including students from Cross River states. Though this dream is usually dashed due to inadequate information and lack of resources, stakeholders say this may soon become a thing of the past with the establishment of Education USA Advising Center in Calabar.
We really want to have more Nigerians come and take part in our educational system.
We are opening up smaller venues in some of the smaller cities like Benin City, Awka, Enugu, to be able to also provide this information so students don't have to travel all the way to Lagos or all the way to these big cities to get that information.
Cross River State government lauds the partnership between the United States of America and Nigeria, promising to take advantage of the initiative to give its students quality education.
The state government, beginning from the time of Donald Duke, Tolieli Moke, and President Professor Ben Ayade, have given a lot of thought, manpower, and then the consideration that, look, ICT must be the way of the future.
The State's Education USA advisor, Anne Mesembe, speaks further on the initiative.
We have scholarships available for the set of students we call the high achieving low income students.
The Education USA is the U.S. Department of State's network with students advising centers in more than 175 countries across the globe, including Nigeria as one of the beneficiaries. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
To reposition the Nigerian oil and gas industry that needs to integrate artisanal and modular refinery operators into the mainstream oil and gas sector has been emphasized. This is Joseph's energy experts say it would promote the inclusion of more local contents in the refining of petroleum products, as well as curb illegal oil activities in the Niger Delta region. Ijama Uweke reports.
Over the years, illegal oil activities in the Niger Delta region have contributed to depleting the environment, resulting to pollutions and respiratory issues. The proliferation of artisanal refineries no doubt have posed serious challenge, especially as government-owned refineries are moribund.
When people are out of job, they look for alternative ways of making money. And they have seen this as a very promising area to make money, so they had no option but to go and bust pipes and use crude ways of refining. And that's the reason why we're all victims of this whole incident, not just on our vehicle, even on our health. If you run around this campus early in the morning, by the time you get to your house, just poke your nose, see black suits all over. So it's also telling on us, okay, severely on our health.
To address these lingering issues that have hindered progress in the petroleum industry, energy experts have advocated integration of artisanal and modular refinery operators into the mainstream oil and gas sector. This, they say, will resolve illegal oil activities, promote availability of petroleum products, and stabilize price, as well as create employment opportunities for the youths in the Niger Delta region.
For us to be able to have this, we need to integrate these people, give them licenses, teach them better ways of refining these products, and then settle the issue of where they get their crude from.
If you bring them into the mainstream sector, many more people will be employed. There will be less security challenges. The economy will improve. Today, we can hardly sleep. A number of us cannot even go to our rural communities because that's where the actions are taking place. They must be encouraged, brought in.
With the approval of $1.5 billion for the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt refinery, Nigerians are hopeful that this will further boost production of petroleum products in the country. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
That's our beat from Port Harcourt. Nationwide continues after this break.
Welcome back. Let's head to Jos. Zemret will guide us.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to Jos. Plateau State government is seeking partnership with the Danish government in livestock production and revitalization of Jos international breweries. Governor Simon Lalong gave this indication when he visited the Danish embassy in Abuja. Priscilla Grumnan reports.
Given the huge natural potentials of Plateau State, Governor Simon Lalong told Ambassador Camp that the state remains an investment destination. Areas of partnership the governor sees are the brewery agro-research company back farms, livestock production, potato value chain, solid minerals and tourism and hospitality.
Just international breweries used to be one of the most popular breweries in the country. Okay. But along the time they left and then became comatose. But we're trying to revive it.
The Danish ambassador to Nigeria, Jesper Camp, said the Danish and Nigerian governments have a memorandum of understanding on developing dairy products and expressed his country's willingness to strengthen the bond of partnership in this direction.
I personally believe that creating jobs in Nigeria is the most important thing you can do.
The ambassador is expected to visit Plateau State anytime soon. Priscilla Gromnan, NTA News.
4 fuel stations within Jos Metropolis have been sealed for selling above approved pump price by the Department of Petroleum Resources Jos Field Office. Felicia Dali of Somela has details.
The filling stations sealed violated guidelines of the DPR by under-dispensing petroleum products to consumers. Petrol, which is to be sold between 162 naira and 165 naira per litre, as directed by the federal government, was dispensed between 170 to 180 naira per litre. This, the head of operations DPR Jos Field Office say will not take lightly.
Those people that will steal their pumps, we have to pay that penalty. Then we will witness the readjustment of that pump to within our regulatory band, and then we can then thereafter unseal the pump.
Whether there is fuel scarcity, the DPR boss has this to say.
We have about 17,783,000 liters of PMS in the depot. This is a reserve. And then that volume at 20 trucks per day, if we supply 20 trucks per day to Plateau State, it can take 27 days to exhaust that volume. So there's no case of fear of undersupply.
The monitoring exercise is one out of many responsibilities of DPR. In Jos, Felicia Dali of Samaila, NTA News.
That's it from Jos. It's back to Ruth now for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Zenrat. Over the years, there has been concerns about the consistent conflicts in the northeast region that has resulted in the loss of lives, property and livelihoods, with a number of displaced persons needing urgent humanitarian assistance. A 2-day symposium has been organized by the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue in partnership with the National Orientation Agency and International Crisis Group to aid humanitarian assistance. It has been 12 years of battling with insurgency that has left a great toll on the northeast region of the country, and the struggle for peace continues, leaving more than 2 million people displaced. This symposium by key players is to provide stakeholders a platform for experience sharing and also facilitate dialogue to identify challenges, fill up gaps, and provide recommendations that will strengthen the delivery of peace building through reconciliation, resettlement, and reintegration in the northeast region.
I urge the people in this room to reflect and to discuss the ongoing efforts of reintegration, international community's role, federal and the state government's role towards finding a balance that will restore peace, stability, and in the conflict-affected areas.
This is very much the heartbeat of the people in communicating messages of peace and how to live together. And if we can get the policymakers to understand and use the tools like the alternative narrative messaging within the work of reintegration, it's much easier, we have found, for community members to understand where they're coming from and support the implementation of such policies.
So we provide funding support, but the centerpiece of all of this is making rehabilitation, reintegration work.
At the end of the 2-day symposium, it is hoped that stakeholders will come up with sustainable strategies on the 3 R's: build, enhance synergy, and linkages to achieve the desired goal. In Abuja, well, the age-long interstate boundary dispute between border communities in Enugu and Ebonyi states may be coming to an end with a peaceful resolution reached by a boundary committee of both states and the National Boundary Commission. Susan Eze reports on the joint sensitization campaign of the committees held in Enugu.
Joint sensitization meeting of border communities at the Enugu-Ebonyi interstate boundaries. Stakeholders from both sides are pleased with the efforts of the National Boundary Commission, for the roles they played in brokering peace in the boundary disputes. The Enugu State Deputy Governor and Chairman State Boundary Committee, Cecilia Ezilo, and her Ebonyi State counterpart, Mr. Kelechi Igwe, delighted over the peace accord, appealed to the border communities to cooperate with officials during the demarcation and pillar emplacement exercise that will soon commence. Also glad that the age-long boundary crisis is about to end, Director General National Boundary Commission stated that gray areas will be resolved using instrument lines already agreed upon by both states, subsisting court judgments, as well as administrative practices.
Nigerian communities have vital roles to play. They must do everything possible to promote peace and unity amongst their people.
The pillar emplacement and boundary demarcation exercise is expected to last for 90 days. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Upscaling full kinetic approach on the nation's decade-long counterinsurgency operations is critical to rapidly ending the security threat that has truncated socio-economic activities in parts of the Northeast. Well, this was the focus of the National Defense and Security Summit organized by the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
Terrorists are globally known for application of extreme brutal force on their victims to instill fear and ensure control. In view of this, the Defense Headquarters is prescribing full-scale military kinetic operation that involves the use of land, sea and air assets in the Northeast to rapidly locate and destroy the control and command base of criminals in the zone. This summit is therefore aimed at highlighting the prospects and challenges of the operation to enhance success.
This summit is coming when the merchants of violence are threatening to tear the very foundation of our nation.
The President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, has given a clear mandate for action. The Armed Forces of Nigeria is already seized with the actions to immediately stabilize the situation.
Guest speaker at the event knows that technology-based kinetic operation ensures success.
Perhaps not usage of overwhelming force may have been taken to mean that maybe the state is weak, but the state is not weak. The state needs to show that it is not weak so that we can send this as a threat and as a deterrence to other groups that may think they can wake up one day to challenge the state.
The summit also advocates synergy between the military and the civilian populace. This is to ensure regular provision of intelligence report that will enhance proactive rather than reactive operation. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And we're done with Nationwide. Thank you very much for your company. Well, let's remind you that the fight against rape and rapists is still on. We're not tired and we don't expect you to be. Good evening. I'm Ruth Sagwale. Bye.